Welcome back, everybody,
to another week
of your favorite crypto podcast,
Sometimes Crypto,
the Unscripted
Crypto Podcast. Ayo. Another week, another dollar.
More drama across
Bitcoin, I hit 110,000.
Mm-hmm.
It broke the downtrend.
Did it?
It did. Yes, it did.
Course.
Yeah.
All
right.
I'm just waiting for it to break through and climb to 150,000.
You and me both. Share the charts. You think your computer can handle it today?
Yeah.
Let's try it out.
Charts.
All right. I was making sure I had no important text messages real quick.
Important text messages? This guy. What could be more important than the charts, William? The charts are the most important.
Can you see?
Yes, I can see.
So, clear as
What
day.
we looking at?
So yesterday, Bitcoin. We are in a nice little downtrend.
Bitcoin to US dollar daily candles.
These are on dailies, correct? So we can see it. We have now broken and closed above this downtrend. Our next goal is to break, where is it? This right here. This horizontals. And ideally make a new higher high. We would want to see this, something like that, and then like that. To continue to, as you said, Alex, 150,000. If this happens, if of course I drew straight lines, it never happens in a straight line, but if anything like this happens, it will put us in the best shape to continue our momentum to the upside.
Yep.
So
July just started.
Correct. Also, this is we had a really strong closing candle for the month of June. So we're in good. We're looking pretty. We're looking good. We're looking bullish, in my opinion. Alts don't. That's a different story. That doesn't count. But break the downtrend now. Break resistance, horizontal resistance, and make a higher high, meaning higher high than the previous highs, meaning both of these. That's what we want to see next.
I guess the concern right now is that we're only 2 months away from September and then 3 months from October.
Yeah. So I believe Rec Capital talked about this. He said that we start as we all saw. We started the cycle. We all were calling it accelerated cycle, right? Because Bitcoin went above, broke previous all-time high before happening. Then we went on which has never happened. Correct. We went on a 6-month period after that of just consolidating. Like price range, like it was a $20,000 range, but it ranged. It ranged for almost 6 months or 6 months plus almost, and that completely decelerated the cycle. And as you stated, yeah, we only have really until September, October to get that final leg up of the bull cycle, because we're coming near. We're towards the end.
Yeah, we have July, all of August. It's 2 months. September and October are
ifs.
Are it. That's it.
No, not so. You're saying it as September, October are in the bull cycle, but they're not. That's an if.
That's like the end. That's
yeah,
it's done.
yeah. October is pushing your luck on the bull cycle, and September is still somewhat in range of what the typical cycle lengths are, unless this is somewhat of an extended cycle and we extend past it a little bit, which would be October, the full October essentially. But as myself, have been saying since the cycle started, the cycle has changed.
That's exactly what I was just thinking.
To what degree, we don't know yet. So Bitcoin ideally would have to make this move fast, and money would have to come in fast. But if we get away from Bitcoin and go to dominance has just started its downtrend again. So you would have to speculate, if we want an alt season, that dominance peaked at 66%. Basically 66%, and that we're now gonna go down. Give me a second. To here, like here.
To 50%? Why there?
Minimum.
So arbitrary. That looks like such a random spot.
So it's not though. Let me 3-day.
Oh,
need a bigger chart.
Okay.
It's not though, because typically Bitcoin dominance goes up, and then when alt season starts, Bitcoin dominance drops. So it's where are we going to drop to?
Mm-hmm.
So you'll be looking for your next supports of dropping. And the 50s is not some random support. Because ideally, you'll be catching all of this and all of this little support here. So it looks arbitrary, but it's not the craziest. How low will we go is unknown. So really, we're
looking at like the, what was that? The previous cycle.
No, this is
support.
this is mid of the previous cycle point. Just like to get a support zone.
Yeah. That's why I just wanted to reference. But yeah, that makes that makes sense. And then 50%.
Because if you go to here, now this would be this support zone. So we could be playing in a range, but we would need to see dominance come from the 65s to the low 50s, and potentially go even lower down. Mm-hmm. Which we don't know if it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So the thing that's happening is that retail money is not really heavy in the market. There's small retail buying, but there's a lot of retail selling. The buying we do have is institutional, and what they're buying is specifically Bitcoin and very small amounts of ETH.
Which is crazy, by the way, for the retail investors to be selling right now of all times.
So that's why dominance going back down to the 50s would be a huge move for the alts, because if you can see here, if I zoom it, when we peaked last time around the 65, and we came down to this support zone around 61, the alts moved quite drastically for that short time frame that we lived in. And the same thing happened when we went from the 60s all the way back down to the mid 54s, 54%. Alts moved again. We will need to see a similar drastic move. We will need to actually lose big boy structure and not reclaim it. And ideally, you would want to see it with Bitcoin price on the uptrend, which we haven't seen yet. Not for an extended period of time. We saw it shortly lived back in 2024, I believe, the beginning of 2024. I believe, the beginning of 2024 is when we saw that move. Confirm? Yeah, because we went from 2022, 2023, 20. Yeah, because Bitcoin here, we saw alts really ripping in this zone when Bitcoin dominance was low, but money was in the alts. So we do have a lot. So it's a lot of just not hopefully, but watching the market and it doing the moves you were expecting to see, or
anticipating,
better said. So ideally, break of structure is what we're waiting for next, because dominance here is still on support from touch. So we want to break this line and then this line, and then a move down to at least the 54s, and if not, even lower. Get me?
Yep.
And then we won't even touch on the total market cap. We'll just look at USDT. And we're ideally waiting for the same thing. USDT has been in a long-term downtrend. Let me delete this real quick. Delete that, and delete that. It's been a downtrend. We ideally just want to see this downtrend continue. The less USDT supply, the smaller the USDT dominance is, the better. So two things we want, two scenarios. Continues to push down, bounces around here on this 3.8%, like it did here, and here. So it's a good support zone.
Mm-hmm.
And the other would be, it doesn't bounce, it breaks below and continues downward. That's wishful thinking, in my opinion. I believe we'll probably get a reaction at this zone, more than likely.
Yeah.
But we still do have a good amount to play with. So that 1% move in dominance is an 18% move in total. So a lot of money would be flowing out of USDT. Ideally the alts, but it could be alts or Bitcoin. So we'll have to see both alts and Bitcoin dominance come down. I mean, USDT dominance and Bitcoin dominance come down and flow into the others. Market, like flow into the others dominance, which I think I have. But yeah, others, which you want to see this number go up. The market cap of the top, well, excluding the top 10 to go up. Meaning this would be everything not in the top 10. You want to see this break its downtrend and push upwards, which we've seen every time there has been a break. I'm sorry, a drop in the other dominances, and this rallies up. That's when the alts move.
Which makes sense,
which total sense. Also, just to preface, this does not mean like every alt's included in that. It's some alts will clearly just run harder than others. Yeah. But before we get off the chart, as you can clearly see, Bitcoin 110,500, give or take, making a push up to the resistance zone. So we'll have to just wait for what the reaction will be in this area. Will it reject? Will it break through? And will it close above or within this rejection zone? That's what we're waiting for, essentially.
Okay. Yeah, before you get off the chart, actually, can you show me the 200-week moving average for Bitcoin?
It's 200-day and...
No, can I see the 200-week?
I don't... 200-week moving average?
Is that too much?
I don't know. I've always only ever heard of the 200-day, not the 200-week.
200 weeks is what, 4 years?
Yeah.
What's the furthest you could go?
3 months, I think.
12 months?
12 months. But I'll just put the 1 week.
Okay, but what is this? Moving average ribbon. Okay.
Yeah, it's a moving average.
Mm-hmm.
These are just different averages I look at.
So you have the 200 moving SMA 200.
Yes, simple moving average.
Okay, so don't do 1 week. Do 12 months. Or 12 weeks. Yeah, 12 months. 12 months.
I don't think you're gonna see what you want to see, but okay.
It should be low.
Yeah. Let me do something so we could probably see it better. We'll just be looking for the red one. It's not even here.
Low.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, it should be super low. It should be super low.
No, it doesn't exist.
How does it not exist? That don't make
It's
no
not
sense.
on the chart. Let me get out of this chart. Let's look for Bitcoin. Let's take out the swaps.
The reason why I'm looking for that is because I was
Binance
looking at a Reddit page
will have
yesterday, and
data.
that Reddit page, it was a post on r/Bitcoin where a guy said that he took out a $10,000 loan to buy Bitcoin. That he's been DCAing for a while already. But he just recently took out a loan, $10,000 to buy Bitcoin. He's like, why? If it's gonna go up in the next couple of weeks, anyways, might as well take out the loan. Doesn't matter what the percentage is. Too much. I think it was like I want to say 14% interest rate loan. And I don't know what the terms was. But someone in reply to that says, "Oh no, you got it really high because the 200-week moving average just reached $50,000." And I was like, 200 weeks, 50,000. That is long. I was like, that's a long period. 4 years.
So nothing's on the 12th month. So this is a 200 week. It's 50,000.
200 week?
Yep, this is a weekly.
Oh, okay. So I guess I don't know how that tool works then, because I said 12 months thinking that was a 12-month moving average.
That's not that's not the way it works. Well, if you put the 1 week, it means it's only counting the weekly candle closes and opens to make the average, or only candle closes to make the average, and it does that for every 1 week candle, and then it takes a 200 period to do that. Like the 200 is just that period. Length.
No wonder 12 months was never gonna show.
Yeah, that's what I was.
That requires 200 12-month intervals.
Correct.
200 years. It's never gonna show.
Yeah. I just wanted to see. I'm like, I don't know what he's even talking about right now.
I didn't know how the tool worked, but this is what I was trying to see.
Okay. I should have explained it. I just couldn't. I didn't know what to say to him.
You just kept you're like, okay, we'll try it.
I'm like, I'll see what this does. But this is a 200. This would be the 200 average on a week, the weekly.
And how come it stops there?
What do you mean? 200
on the left.
200. There's 200 candles from this point to that point.
Oh, okay. I see.
If you want, what people do is they go from.
There's 200 candles from that point to this. Is that what that is, or is there? Or
there
that's
are 200.
Where,
there are 200 candles. This line is taking 1 weekly. It's taking 200 weekly candles from this starting point to this starting point. We're just looking at it on the daily time frame, but that's.
No,
that's
I don't. I don't think you're saying. I don't think you're saying that right. The price point. So, like, for example, where the line ends all the way on the far right. at $50,000. There are 200 candles measured from that point, which is today, 3rd of July, before averaged out equaling $50,000.
Yes.
Which probably there's 365 days. But this is weeks, anyways. So yeah, that does. And then all the way on the left, what I would assume is that there was not 200 weeks before that, but no, that's July 20.
That's the starting point of the period.
What period? The 200 weeks?
Exactly.
There's not 200 weeks between July 2021. Oh, 2025. Okay, yeah.
What do you?
No. I thought. Yeah,
I love how he said I was wrong, but then he realized he's not understanding. He's not looking at the dates right.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure it out.
By saying I'm wrong, by saying you're not explaining it wrong.
It's not.
You did.
Adding
you did
up.
what I did.
It's not adding up, but whatever.
But you get it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason it doesn't go back further is because that's the 200. What I was going to say was what people do is instead of putting 200, they'll do 300. Like they'll extend it. Let it load. Why'd they get shorter? Now I got confused.
That's what I'm saying. It's like the reason 300 weeks, it takes 300 weeks to make this line, to get the first value of this line.
Correct.
So it requires more time up front. Like it's kind of like the same reason why the other one, the 12-month one that we were making, the time frame for 200 12-month intervals, you're not going to get the first value, the first point of value for that 12-month average until 200 years had passed by. Then you have the first dot of that line.
You know what? I feel broken. I understand the way the moving averages work. I don't understand why it's shorter and longer now. I'm not saying you're not explaining it to me correctly. I'm just saying I don't understand it. That's it.
It's because it needs more upfront data before the line. Upfront data.
Upfront, yeah.
So like, there has to be there has to be movement, but for you to get the moving average.
Yes.
That's what I was saying.
Interesting.
So I was right.
You were right.
Suck it.
Was that necessary?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
It was necessary.
Well, you're the only psychopath who looks at the weekly SMA.
No,
who does that?
Somewhat, William. I literally just told you that I read this on a Reddit post, so it wasn't even me. I just wanted you to see it.
Makes it even worse. I would have never. The 1 week would have never crossed my mind.
So the reason why he mentioned that, I'm assuming, is it's to kind of not instill fear for the guy who took on a loan, but more so like give him some level of reality that there is risks associated to taking out loans or hedged positions on any asset. Where, yeah, Bitcoin is kind of set to hit over $150,000 for this cycle.
Well, that's also not guaranteed either.
It's not guaranteed, but that's a pretty common occurrence. Like, people are pretty confident about it. There's people saying it will reach 250,000, which I don't know how it's going to happen before October, but maybe they're not thinking about October as a deadline.
Also.
Anyway, so the Reddit post was mostly like, this reply to that post was just to say, like, yeah, we understand what you're saying, but it's pretty late in the game in terms of where the cycle is for a loan like that, when their potential moving average could drop down to as low as $50,000.
Yeah, but that's yes, but that's also looking at it with only one indicator and one thing, because there also would be things saying you also shouldn't go down lower than X amount because we've never gone lower than X amount in this period.
exactly. There's people
So-
like that reply to the post was followed by multiple other replies saying, "I don't think we're ever going to see $65,000 again."
Yeah, I
Which is what
assume
we
that
said-
would.
which is what we said before for during the presidential election. That's more or less where the price of Bitcoin was on the day of the presidential election, and historically, Bitcoin does not drop below that price.
Yeah, historically, it does not drop below presidential election price. So I'm gonna look into these indicators, and well, specifically the moving average, see how they calculate it, because that threw me off.
I bet it did.
I would also never looked at the 1 week. Never in my life would have done that. All right, so that's the market. We're still holding 110, and stocks are still doing good. By the way, stocks are still
Stocks are
holding
doing
and pushing.
What
Stocks are
what stories you got us for us stock wise?
Stock wise, Robinhood. I think it was last week. Let me double check that.
The
No,
tokenization thing.
yeah,
That
Yeah,
was
they-
Wednesday,
that was June 30th.
June 30th. Okay.
Yeah, they announced that they will be tokenizing stocks on Robinhood. From the looks of it, it's gonna be a phase. It won't just be done overnight. So from this tweet I read from this guy saying, phase 1, tokenize stocks as receipt tokens. Trades are still settled in existing TradFi. Phase 2, integrate Bitstamps to improve liquidity and enable 24/7 trading. And phase 3 would be to integrate blockchain for composability benefits.
Interesting. I'm not against it per se. I'm also not super informed on details to be too opinionated on this. TradFi is just traditional finance and definitely outdated, and will likely get an update relatively soon. Obviously, Robinhood's making progress towards that. What are the legal implications for this in terms of how stocks are managed and handled? That's a great question for not me, because I am not a financial lawyer in these financial markets. But that does seem interesting advancements.
We're definitely on the road to 24/7 trading days.
Mm-hmm. Which will make sense, because
Yeah.
why should we not make decisions on finances all the time?
Yeah, why aren't we allowed to move money whenever we want?
Like, that's crazy. Or our own assets specifically.
Facts.
But I'm sure that that's going to come with a lot of turmoil, a lot of headaches for not just Robinhood, but because other companies are going to start doing that switch too. Robinhood just happens to be the one taking the lead and taking charge.
Yeah. All big players will switch over to 24/7 trading. At
What
some point.
I did see was that I think it was Sam Altman or OpenAI saying that, like, this does not constitute legal transaction of their stocks. And that's why I mentioned the whole thing about the lawyer thing, because I'm not sure why they would say that, or on what grounds.
What do you mean? So, like, they're saying they're not allowing them to trade their stock 24/7?
Yeah, they're saying
Or-
what it was specifically was that the tokenized shares of their company are are derivatives, not actual shares.
Mm.
So, like, I think part of it was that Robinhood was like giving away $5 worth of shares for people signing up, particularly in the EU.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when OpenAI was like, "Not these are tokens, not shares. So if you have this, you're not a shareholder." But then that's because, like, the company is OpenAI. Shares of OpenAI should be managed by OpenAI. It's like if you're handing out shares rights to the company, it's on the company's terms. It's like I can't walk in saying that this piece of paper buys me ownership in a company if they don't accept or acknowledge this piece of paper.
But wouldn't it? I'm not. Wouldn't it be more? I follow, but isn't it closer to like the Bitcoin ETF?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is likely more so of a battle for Robinhood to decide with the SEC or whatever commission it is.
It's the SEC.
I'm assuming SEC, yeah.
No, actually, it'll be the SEC. Yeah, SEC.
And whatever other commissions there are across the world, like the EU, to make those decisions. Because like I'm just not. That's just beyond my scope. I really just.
Because wouldn't it be like similar to when you weren't allowed to purchase one full share of a stock?
Like you have to buy one full share.
Yeah, there was a point where you had to buy one full share. Now you don't have to buy one full share.
Mm-hmm.
But those were the exchanges that just on their end implemented that you can fractionalize shares.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't the I wasn't the stocks who did. It wasn't the issuing stock. It wasn't the issuers who decided how to do it.
Well, yeah, because
I believe.
Well, there are like again legal terms and conditions set forth by the company issuing the shares. So like part of that is shareholders have a right to vote in decisions in which the company makes, or like which paths the company will take. So if someone owns a share of a company, but it's only a fractionalized share, who owns the right to make that vote? Is it the person with the majority share of that share? So like someone owns 51% of that fractionalized share. Are they the ones who make the decision? Or is it the exchange company, like the platform itself, that just delegates that somehow, and that comes to regulation that has to be set forth of some degree.
I want you to know that this is your specific example. It's probably already been given.
Like, 100%. That's already been decided. I'm just talking in like some vague hypothetical, not like kind of something like that, but that's likely already been talked about.
Just because I haven't owned fractional.
This is going to be something similar to that. However, this is going to be on a more global scale.
100%.
Because now multiple governments are going to get involved. Blockchain's going to get involved. And depending on, it is a Robinhood-based blockchain that will be made in the case of Robinhood. So private blockchain, maybe private rules. But ultimately, there's going to have to be a lot more interlaying, like overlapping regulations with different governments, nation states, per se.
Yeah, there has to be an agreement to a certain extent.
Yeah, which kind of reminds me of this YouTube video that I watched recently. It was about this guy who was an early writer for Wire magazine. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was quite fascinating because he's pretty much discussing about how there's multiple changes that are going to be happening within the next 25 years. And governments are going to have to change the way that they operate. And this is one of those examples that he actually talks about in that short interview.
I mean, we said the same thing about the way the SEC rules on crypto. Like, they can't rule with the old rules. You have to look at it with a new perspective on how blockchain works and what is security and what isn't. Yeah.
The definition of how we define money probably needs to be updated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool.
Yes. Oh, so the guy's name is Peter Leyden, Leyden. He says the end of our world as we know it, 2025. Not in a bad sense. If anything, it's in a good sense. And yeah, this whole situation with Robinhood kind of overlaps stuff in what she said in that interview.
Yeah. Ooh, what a mess. Well, it's not our problem to deal with.
Nope, we're just here to enjoy the ride.
We'll just use it.
Oh, I'm sorry. What did you say?
We will just use it.
Oh yeah, 100%. Just go with the flow. Make the best of it that we can possibly make.
Well, on the stock topic, Jupiter also introduced stocks to its exchange. You can now buy stocks on Jupiter.
Really?
Decentralized. Yes.
That's actually more interesting news. That's exactly in line with the same frame.
Yeah. I mean, there's other centralized exchanges that you can buy stocks on, like BTCC. It's a centralized exchange that you can buy stocks on with crypto. You can use Bitcoin to buy stocks.
Interesting.
So now Jupiter, a DEX, you can also do it on. They just released it recently, I think within the last week.
Okay.
On Solana, by the way, of course.
Always Solana, because it's faster than
and cheaper than ETH.
Yep.
That's also like cool and interesting because it also gives a lot of crypto holders who don't want to cash out, like in the sense of take out the funds and put it in a stock. It makes it more convenient for them to just, if they already have a wallet there and they want to buy it, they can just swap it right on the wallet.
Yeah.
So meaning Phantom will have support to hold these things too.
I wonder how that's gonna show up. It probably in the NFTs portion of the Phantom wallet.
Who knows? NFTs really have died out, haven't they?
Yeah, but like also like how are
they'll
you
be back?
How are you gonna show? Maybe not NFTs, tokenized. I guess it's gonna be.
No, it's not.
It's gonna be interesting.
We're figuring out as we go along. We weren't here to explore the ocean. We weren't here to explore space, but we're here to explore crypto.
Yep. Which is pretty much what's gonna be the fundamental, foundational crypto. Or
say
like,
it. Talk your trash.
It's gonna be what helps us explore space eventually.
Say it. Say it with your chest.
Say what? What do you want me to say? You say it.
Jesus, what? How did it get so hostile?
I just don't know what you want me to say.
I mean, what you were just saying. It was a joke,
okay.
by the way.
I see. I follow.
Oh, Jesus!
I thought there was like
listeners are cringing. Thing. Listeners are cringing right now. They're like, these two morons don't even know what they're talking about. Side tangent. A really good one. Okay. We had a comment on one of our reels the other, like probably a few weeks ago now. Want to know what it read?
Oh, okay. What did it read?
Let me see if I can find it so I can read it verbatim.
And what was the reel in which it was commented on?
Dude, give me a second. I have to find it.
Give you.
And oh, damn it. I don't think I can find it.
It's been removed.
No, okay, I found it. It was Google reads your emails.
Okay, yeah.
So it's when you talk about Google reading your emails, and everyone's like, one of the comments was evidence. And apparently everyone thinks that when we say Google reads your emails, there's a moron like me actually reading your email. Right?
Is that what they
I don't
meant?
know. Apparently.
Potentially.
Because they asked for evidence. What we mean with Google reads your emails, it means their algorithm is reading through your email to decide if it's spam or not, to decide if it's this or that. To then decide if it's gonna sell you targeted ads.
which folder does it go into?
Exactly. Like, it's reading your emails, right? It's
so I do want, because I do remember having that conversation a couple weeks ago, and I was saying in the full version of that that Google does read your emails to sell you ads. However, if that's the case that they're referring to, I do want to point out that Google has stopped reading emails for the sake of selling ads, and this is a public statement that they made, and I did look into that, where I think it was like 2017, 2019 more or less, that they stopped reading emails for the sake of selling ads. However, that does not mean that they're still not, like, they're still reading your emails. They just said we're not reading it to sell you ads, reading it for something else maybe.
Correct. So the comment was, as I said, evidence. We Googled this, and it just says an employee at Google isn't reading your emails, obviously. However, they do have an algorithm that is. Yes, Google algorithms do scan and read your emails in Gmail for various purposes. Even though Google has stopped using email content for ad personalization, as you stated, while no longer used for Gmail ads, they are still used to spam, dictation, auto reply suggestions, and other features. Mm-hmm. So, and then the dude was like, "So it's the opposite. They're not reading your emails. They're clearly reading your emails, my guy. Whether to what degree, or it's not me, the moron, reading it, but someone's reading your goddamn emails. It's just not a person. It's a fucking robot.
Data's being collected.
Data's being collected." So this was the reply, and this was the comment I found funny. He goes, "Imagine faking a podcast."
What? What do you mean?
I wish it was fake. It would make me feel better by that. It would make me feel better. I wish it was. No, it's not. Unfortunately, these are two morons on here.
That's hilarious,
dude. I saw it. I just cracked up. I'm like, how the hell are we faking? How that was? I don't know. Found it funny though.
I don't know. Maybe we could just
we can fake it then. We should just fake it then if it's already fake.
Google VO3. And
crazy. You saw that? That looks crazy.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy.
That was a wild. Google's on something with that. No, never mind. All right, but off this tangent of commenters, what's next?
So talking about Google, they just recently got a court order from California to pay $314 million in liability for stealing
misusing
information. No, not misusing, stealing information from idle Android devices. As in mobile data. They were stealing mobile data. The lawsuit pretty much claims that Google programmed phones to transfer data to Google servers even when it is not connected to Wi-Fi, hence forcing the owners of these Android devices to spend their money, the Android device owners, on cellular mobile data, so that Google could get access to this sweet information.
So, question: Google, I don't know if you know, is it Google devices or is it Android devices?
Android devices sent to Google servers.
So if it had like a Gmail account on it, that was what was taking the information in.
The Android device was sending information.
Yeah, but you said Google stole the data. So what I'm asking was it like if you had a Google application installed on your device, is that where they sent it through? Like that's where it gave permission to do that?
No, it's probably on the OS level.
So it had to be a Google OS then. It wasn't Android.
And Android is Google.
No.
Android's not owned by Google?
No.
Since when?
I don't think the operating system, like the Android plain operating system. No, I think it's the Google operating system. I could be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I just thought there were two separate OSs. I thought Android OS and Google OS were different.
Open source. It looks like it's open source. Android is open source, and you can completely work system OSP. Okay, Android is primarily. Oh, so according to this, very like the summarized thing, Android is primarily developed by Google, and the source code is made available to the Android open source project. So it is. There are open source versions of it, but the vast majority of it is probably done by Google.
You're not. I understand what you're trying to tell me. What I'm saying is, the Samsung version of Android OS is not the Google version of Android OS. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying it's most likely the Google version.
Yeah.
That was
more. Yeah.
And for the most part, I believe. Again, I'm not 100%. I haven't used Android in a minute now. What I'm saying is, I believe that the Google, like the Pixel phones that are made by Google, use Google based only. Like they use a strictly Google OS.
The Google Play Store.
Correct. Exactly.
And Samsung devices also use those.
They don't use the Google Play Store.
Samsung devices, they don't use the Google Play Store?
They use the Android Play Store. I believe there's two different Play Stores. I believe there's more than two, but you know what I mean. I believe there is a Google Play Store, and I'm not saying that won't be your main use point, but I'm saying they have both.
Yeah, so to the degree, obviously, we're not super well versed on this whole court case. But Google Play is what's used. I said, is there an Android Play Store? Android apps on Google Play. Enjoy millions of latest Android apps
I'm wrong.
through Google Play.
It's been a minute, like I said. Fair. Okay. Moving forward. So they stole the information?
Ultimately, what I gathered from this article is that there was Android devices that were sending information to Google servers while the phones were disconnected from Wi-Fi, forcing the users to spend their money on cellular data strictly for Google's benefits.
Crazy.
And at this rate, we might get a hit list from Google. So just for all intents and purposes,
Google, I own shares. You don't need to come after me.
We are not suicidal, is what I was going to say.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you own something of theirs. We're not suicidal.
I have no intention of killing myself or others.
We have said this twice, by the way.
I know, and I will continue saying this until that changes.
We said this on a prior podcast for talking about another.
Actually, even if you see a video of me saying the opposite of that, scrutinize that video.
Yeah. Also, because there's AI now, AI videos,
deepfakes and AI.
We will never do it.
We just wouldn't.
Never.
Making sure that's crystal clear out there. That's funny.
Oh Jesus. Alrighty. What more you got?
The other one, also not great news. Well, I guess Google getting sued might be news for some people. But this is not
those who are affected.
Yeah. So Microsoft is set to lay off 9,000 employees.
Damn.
That sucks. So
that sucks.
And this is like an additional 9,000 because apparently they had laid off 6,000 people in May. So still that's a lot of people, but it's also less than 4% of its global workforce. The question is, where are these people gonna which particular people are they planning on laying off? what countries are they in.
Yeah, they just say numbers, but they don't say
Yeah.
like specifics.
Yeah, it just shows Microsoft in general, like employees, but not which country.
Because most tech companies also downsize within like the last 2 years. I think we had a report saying that.
Yeah, so the purpose of the whole layoff is to reduce the amount of managers in between actual individual contributors. And so like in between individual contributors and top execs, reducing managers just to get rid of redundancy and inefficiency.
So you have you got your answer to the degree of who's getting laid off.
To a degree,
it's managers. It's managers.
It's middle managers.
Middle management.
Now, what's the purpose of that? I don't know, but or how or where.
Well, they just said to reduce redundancy.
Well, not the purpose. Correction. Geographic location and which like sector, like which part of Microsoft's departments are being laid off, just in general.
Sounds like a few. All right.
Yeah, that's a lot of people though. 9,000 employees.
Yeah. We feel bad for them, but not the government workers that were laid off when Elon was chopping off heads.
I never feel bad for government workers.
Damn.
I feel like that's kind of broad and not necessarily accurate. I feel like that's actually very broad and not necessarily accurate at all.
It's okay. You said that one with your chest.
Yeah, but I said that with my chest, and it's not even true.
That's the point.
God damn it. Teachers, we love you.
No, those weren't laid off. I don't think teachers were laid off. It was like government employees, like in the government.
Yeah. Okay, so you mean government officials? That's the term I could stick with. Government officials.
Never feel bad for them. Never feel bad for them? No matter the level?
No matter the level.
Awesome. So, the bromance is back on It's back on rocky standing between the man who chopped off those government officials' heads with an axe, essentially. Trump and Elon got into it again. Trump is not doing everything I wanted him to do, by the way. I'm very upset.
There's only one thing that I wanted Trump to do. There's
only he's doing?
There's only one thing I wanted anybody to be in the White House to do. And that
crypto,
is,
Bitcoin.
Push Bitcoin and crypto forward.
Well, Alex is a happy voter.
I'm what's called a single issue voter.
Damn, so you're saying whoever would have told you Bitcoin, you're voting for that?
Essentially.
Fair enough.
Well, whoever would have said it and the highest likelihood of actually pulling through. Because again, you can't trust these people. They're all snakes.
We did say that a lot too. So Trump posted. He wrote, Elon Musk knew long before he so strongly endorsed me for president that I was strongly against the EV mandate. It is ridiculous and was always a major part of my campaign. Electric cars are fine, but not everyone should be forced to own one. Elon may get more subsidies than any human being in history by far, and without subsidies, Elon would probably have to close up shop and head back to home to South Africa. No more rocket launches, satellites, or electric car productions, and our country would have a fortune. Perhaps we should have Doge take a good hard look at this. Big money to be solved. I don't have it here, the one he said after this, but he also said we'll probably look into Elon being shipped back to South Africa too.
Yeah, someone brought that up at work the other day. They're like, "Oh, Trump wants to deport Elon." I was like, "Yeah."
So
yesterday,
Trump is on one. He's having a little bit of a power trip, in my opinion.
I mean, he's an old man, dude. Like, we can't have old people in office anymore.
We also did say that. We also said he's the only one pushing Bitcoin, so we were voting. That would be the vote. Both are true. But there are things that he's saying there where it's like, yeah, who are you going to pay to send the rockets up into space? NASA, who's 2 times as expensive?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not saving money. It's being more expensive to do it with that.
Yeah, you're spending the money. Yeah.
So, like, shut up. Like, sorry, Mr. President. Again, not trying to kill myself.
William, the president does not care if you die. President's a different story.
Yeah, but I want to know I didn't kill myself. It was a murder.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but when you do it, I go along with you. But when I do it, it's like the president doesn't care. Like, you're any specialer than I am, right?
No, it's not that I'm specialer, William. It's just don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Nah, say it. Say it with your chest.
The president really, I think that guy is, like you said, on a power trip and doesn't really even know where to focus his targets on.
Nah,
he doesn't. Who's the enemy? Everyone.
Everyone who goes against him is his enemy.
Kind of concerning, isn't it?
Yeah. So back to the actual point. So he attacks like the rocket launches and the satellites, and it's like you can't do it cheaper than SpaceX for the most part. Yeah, like the only other person you got was NASA, and we made a pod and talked about this and a reel somewhere there. And we mentioned how SpaceX got a $2 billion contract while NASA was $4 billion or a little more than that. And SpaceX did it for half the cost of what NASA would be able to send rockets for. So kind of crazy that they would be saving a fortune
for the EVs.
But he said he's cutting spending on both, subsidies. On all of it.
Yeah, but you've heard that term taco.
Trump always backs down, or what? What is it?
Yeah, Trump always chickens out.
Chickens out.
Which at this point is looking pretty consistent.
Maybe.
As in, he will make these outlandish, insane statements.
I'm not saying any of these will go through.
And then just doesn't do it.
Yeah. I'm not saying he'll do any of these. I'm just saying if he were to, even saying is like, but you don't have a better choice. Not EV-wise. An EV mandate that everyone has to have electric vehicles is dumb. I mean, I know a few countries are doing that, and I still think it's dumb. So, not the point.
Really?
Yeah. In Europe, the majority of vehicles are switching over to EVs. Chile in 2 years is mandating that all new vehicles sold have to be EVs or electric.
Yeah, that's what EV means. Electric vehicle.
Oh, my fault. I meant hybrid. I meant hybrid and electric. My fault.
Yeah.
My fault. That was on me. Yeah. But they either have to be hybrids or full EVs. And there was one more that I lost in my brain.
But that's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah, like we were shopping for a car, and they told us like, oh, we're in Toyota. We were looking at a hybrid model, and they were like, oh, you should be choosing the hybrids now, just because in the next 2 years there will be no new. It will only be hybrids being sold brand new. Mind you, this is what before you interrupt. This is what kind of irked me. Is she goes, oh yeah, because they're gonna get more expensive once everyone has to be selling electric vehicles or hybrids. And immediately, I was like, what? Why would it become more expensive if there's going to be more? That's it. Like I'm like, it would become cheaper. Why would I buy now when there's less models?
Mm-hmm.
Like in my head. Then I spoke about that with my girlfriend, and she's like, no, she might have a point. Maybe it does become more expensive.
I mean, maybe it does become more expensive, but the question
I
is
was like,
that's buying it.
I was like, that's highly unlikely. That's going to become more expensive if there's more supply.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I'm like, now go ahead.
My concern is actually quite different, and this is a very big tangent, but still very extremely relevant. In the case of, let's say, EVs are more common and just seen throughout, right? So, like, particularly, let's say like Tesla has very good air filtering system where they know which like they could literally filter out a lot of contaminants in the air. And my concern is as this world continues to progress technologically, so does the opportunity for individuals, governments, and large organizations to gather intel and information on you. And where I'm going with this is, should these EVs have some module, some component that allows this air filtering system to identify what's being picked up? Now there's a way for that company, let's say Tesla, to identify the air quality of all the cars of where all of its cars are, which ultimately not necessarily saying it's a bad thing, because if we could know how the air quality is of certain cities based off of all these endpoints that's collecting information, great. That's intel that we could use to better adjust and create decisions in the future. However, now this is for the people who are concerned about never wanting to be able to drive an EV, like as in wanting a self-powered, like controlled car where they're the driver, not some bot.
Still stand by it.
Now, if it's illegal, let's say, to drive a car that has a certain amount of exhaust fumes, if you're driving by certain EVs, they're gonna detect, oh, air pollution's gone up. Why? They have cameras, they have locations. They'll literally see, the algorithm will literally see the car releasing the exhaust. You will be essentially doxxed. It's like, oh, this is the reason why air pollution for this particular car went up. It's because that other car in front just dumped a bunch of exhaust.
Yeah.
Essentially creating a huge way for nation states, organizations, companies to be able to track and identify anomalies, to give it a name.
Yeah. Well, just to add add on it. There's already smog control like tests for California. Like your car and other parts in the country, your car has to get checked every year to make sure it's up to standards.
Mm-hmm. I understand that.
I'm just saying, like, and if it's not up to standards, you're required to fix it. Now you're not going to get like
or you can't drive that car on the road, because if
you won't be allowed to drive that car. Mm-hmm. Correct. No, I'm just adding, like, this exists to a degree. It's just not, as you said, targeted or doxed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, information will be collected everywhere in the future, next 25 years, give or take.
Maybe sooner, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. I mean, I think we can wrap up on this last one. Trump sent a handwritten letter, better said, to our good friend Jerome Powell, stating that, Jerome, you're as usual too late. You have cost the U.S. fortunes and continue to do so. You should lower the rates by a lot. Hundreds of billions of dollars being lost. And then I can't understand the last thing. And he signed it with his long ass signature. In that exact same document, he highlighted that the U.S. should be in the top 5, meaning below 1.75% rate, and we are currently sitting at number 35 at 4.5%. And that there's also apparently speculations and talks that they're looking for a replacement for Mr. Powell.
That's interesting.
Craziness.
1.75% interest rates.
Yeah, he wants it lower than that. Like, he wants it in that range, 1.75 or lower. Yeah, the only ones that have
about that.
Yeah, the people who have lower rate, like lower, like these. This is a list. Like I'll give you the top 5. Switzerland, 0.25%. Cambodia, 0.45. Japan, 0.5. And Denmark, 1.75. So he wants us to be basically where Denmark is or lower, but in there. And I mean, we all know why he wants this. He wants this to lower the U.S. bond rates, specifically the 10-year, the 10-year bond.
Interesting. That's very low interest rates, like extremely low.
That's where we were at. Like we were lower than before the pandemic, give or take. We're in that range. So he wants us back to pre-pandemic interest rates.
Yeah.
Which again can't happen.
The issue with that is like we did not print out the amount of money that we did pre-pandemic.
So I saw a reel on Instagram. My friend sent it to me. The M2 money supply, meaning the amount of money in circulation in the U.S. in 1980s, was about 1 point something trillion. Like it was like 2-3 trillion. It was nothing crazy. Our population was still around 230%, like 230 million people. Oh, my bad. Want to know what the M2 money supply is right now?
What?
21.5 trillion.
21.5 trillion as opposed to
max $3 trillion. It increased
insane.
It increased 1,300% in that time frame. The majority of that happened during the pandemic.
Yep.
I think the M2 money supply increased, like 40% of our money was printed during the pandemic.
And then another big portion of it was just recently printed.
Yes, because now Trump decided to increase the spending limit, which I was against that. I want to say, I was totally against that. I was into cutting and not increasing debt ceiling. They increased the debt ceiling by one of the largest, which was $5 trillion. I was livid.
So here's another thing that
I just don't know enough about it to speak on.
Make perfectly clear. Inflation is theft. And any government that supports inflation, it supports stealing money from you. That's my hot take on that. Everyone will likely, if you don't study Bitcoin, you will likely come for my neck.
Yeah. So that's the other thing. If we were to drop rates with that supply, who knows what happens?
Yeah, it's insane.
We'll definitely get a bull run, an unsustained bull run.
I'm taking loans. I'm taking loans left and right.
Every loan needed will be taken.
Yeah, I'm gonna dry the bank out. I'm gonna be like, damn, dude, we can't offer any more loans because we got no more money to offer.
Alex will get a mortgage on his house to then buy another house to get another mortgage to be able to get a bigger loan, a personal loan.
I'd start selling kidneys.
I don't think you can sell. I think you can only sell one.
Okay. Well, who said they were mine? No, I'm kidding.
That's a good response. But yeah, man, it's crazy. Well, Trump is making me mad crazy with the increased debt ceiling because it just got approved.
I think Trump makes everyone mad. I think most presidents makes most people mad.
I think everyone, 100%. Every person in power at one point will make you mad.
That actually reminds me of this picture that I saw the other day, and I ended up saving because I was like, "This is true, accurate." Let's show it here. No matter who you vote for,
yeah, dude.
You read it. It makes sense.
Yeah, that scene keeps on going.
It's backwards for me. That's why I say it.
Yeah, dude. It's like ideally, I thought Trump wasn't gonna raise my debt ceiling, and he did. Now I'm mad. He's still pushing my Bitcoin, right? So I guess I'm winning on one end. Do all you want. I still own Bitcoin, so
There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin in existence forever.
And to add to that, mind you, we have lost an estimated 5% of that supply already.
Yep, and 90% of it's been mined. 99% of it's been mined already.
Also, on that note,
It's been another week of your favorite crypto podcast,
sometimes crypto,
the Unscripted
crypto podcast.
Heyo.
Heyo.